Hey YouTube, I'm Jacob Beach with the Preppers Bunker Outdoors.
I'm Noah with Bushcraft to Survive.
And today we're going to show you how to do a bow drill fire. Stick around, check it out. Step 1 is to grab tinder. I like to use cedar. There's a lot of different things that you can use. Next up is your bearing block. If you can't find a nice rock like this, you want to use a very hard wood. The wood needs to be harder than your spindle and your hearthboard. Remember to lubricate. Your fire drill itself is one of the most crucial components in your fire bow. You want to choose a wood of medium hardness. You'll see here that we're using cedar. Cedar is one of my favorite woods to use because it has a low ignition temperature and a high burning temperature. You want your fire drill to be softer than your bearing block. In this, it's also very important to have a perfectly straight drill. This end here is a more pointy end. We want minimum friction, and that means minimum surface area. The other end of the drill is going to be more wide. This is going to create more friction and more heat, and this is what we're going to put on our fireboard. You want the finished product to be as smooth as possible, but the ends are going to smooth themselves out within the first little bit of use, so you don't have to worry about that too much. As long as your drill is straight and of the proper material, exact dimensions are not that important, but you want it to be thick enough to be strong and sturdy and long enough to give you enough length to not have your line slip off at either end. Next up, we're going to make our coal catcher and our fireboard. We're going to make both out of this piece of wood right here. The hardness of this wood is important because this is where the coal is going to come from. So you want a piece of wood where if you put your fingernail into the wood, it just barely makes a small indentation. That means that it's hard enough to not just be drilled through, but soft enough to create high friction. So what we're going to do here is we're going to baton this wood so that we have one piece that's a little bit thicker, about 1 inch wide, and the other piece isn't so important. The thicker piece here is going to be our fireboard. The thinner piece is going to be our coal catch, which will be underneath the fireboard. Once we have selected our fireboard, I'm going to drill a pivot into it right here. Now, the next step after you have a pivot is to either carve a notch or to start using the fire drill until it all burns and gets smooth, and you can do the notch afterwards. I don't think it's too crucial which step you take, but if you do the notch first and you do it too deep, your fire drill can actually slip out. So it might be a better idea to do your notch after you've already burnt your hole in with your fire drill itself instead of before like I'm doing here. Like I said, either way can work. This is what it's going to look like before you do your first bit of drilling. There are a lot of opinions and styles on the bow itself, but really you just need to practice and figure out what works for you. You need to have a bow that does not put too much line tension on the fire drill so that you can use it comfortably and not have it keep flipping out on you or anything else. But you also want it to be tight enough so that it gets a good purchase on the drill itself. Now comes the painful part. I didn't want to fast forward this footage because I wanted the viewer, you, to see how many times even Noah and I failed. No matter how good you are, if conditions aren't exactly perfect, this will be a difficult thing to do. Even if the conditions are perfect, it takes a lot of work. So a lot of YouTube channels out there, you see them rotate their little fire drill and bam, they've got a fire. We want you guys to understand that that is not what you need to expect to happen. This is going to take a lot of work, a lot of dedication. You're going to have to stick to it, and you're going to have to work really, really hard. And you have to practice. The only way to get good at this is to do it a lot. You'll notice immediately that Noah is better at this than I am. One thing that I will mention is once you get your hole properly burnt in, and once you have your bearing block lubricated, which is very, very important, it makes things go a lot more smoothly here. You'll see that Noah gets the smoke going in no time here. He's really, really good at this. Form is also very important. You'll see here that Noah is locking his arm around his knee as he steps on the fireboard. You want to be as locked in as you can be and have a full range of motion with your bow arm. Once you start getting a lot of smoke, don't stop. You have to just keep going, keep going, keep going until you cannot go anymore. You'll see that even once our hole is burnt in and nice, I still have times where I struggle with it. It is a pain in the butt. Our bearing block is kind of thin, so it kept getting really, really hot. So we're actually holding it under leaves, and we had to switch the leaves out a couple times because they got worn out. And we were about burning our hands through the stone, which was very impressive to me because I'd never used a stone bearing block before, and I didn't think it would transfer heat like that. Watch Noah's dedication as he finally gets the embers. He starts out slow, he's locked in well. Once he starts getting the smoke and getting into a good rhythm, he goes into overdrive. He really speeds up and he does not slow down. It can be very, very exhausting, especially on an incredibly humid day like we had that day. But he kept with it and he did an awesome job. And it was a ton of work. Make sure to have your tinder bundle ready to the side to engulf that little ember, but also don't give your ember too much attention too quickly. Let it sit for a moment. Tap all of your dust onto the coal to get as much heat in that area as you can, and then engulf it in your tinder. Watch how Noah does this. He's really good.
Oh, that's it right there.
Alright guys, so that is how you start a bow drill fire. We wanted to keep it pretty simple, just keep it simple. I didn't want to make it overly complicated or anything like that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Jacob?
Just remember that it will be worth the extra time that it takes to get the proper materials. It will be frustrating, and you've just got to stick with it. Please subscribe to Bushcraft to Survive, as well as the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors. We love having you, and I look forward to talking to you in the comments section. Thank you very much.
Bye guys.